Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Hiker Sessions, and I am truly happy today to be looking at this young man on my screen. Really enjoyed his company. He became Raven on the trail, and he is one of the few people that I actually know the origin of his trail name because I gave it to him. And for people who don't know, he's a huge Baltimore Ravens fan.
This is
We
true.
met, this is true, and as we do this interview, they are on the precipice of a huge game at Buffalo and
Fingers
probably,
crossed.
yeah, probably, a trip to the AFC Championship as well as maybe MVP, right?
That's what
On the
people are
line.
saying. Yeah, we'll
Yeah, on
see.
the line. So Raven and I met first night on the trail and we hiked the next about 302 miles together north of Hot Springs. And that's where you wanted to do your first 20-mile a day hike, and
Yep.
I never really became even the entire trail a 20-mile a day hiker. I did not do many of those. And
Yep.
and you were meeting someone in Damascus too, so you got ahead of me. And then we met back up at mile 626 at Woods Hole Hostel, and we hiked to all the way to Daleville, mile 730. And then a little after that, I think you had to jump off for a wedding.
Yep. I had two weddings during the trail that
Two
I got
weddings.
off and on back. Yeah, it was a whole thing. What was the last time I saw you on the trail?
Just
I
north of Daleville.
okay.
We had taken a zero there, and I think I thanked you, but I will
Oh,
here
right.
again
That.
publicly. You woke me up and got me out of my tent for the sunrise at McAfee Knob, and if it wasn't for you, I
Yeah,
would have never seen that sunrise.
I was excited for that. That was one of the. I guess yeah, definitely worth it to wake up for that. One of the only times I woke up early on the entire trail, but I'm happy I did it. So.
Yeah, me too. I'm happy you. I remember you being outside my tent saying, "No regrets, Sloggy, get up."
Yep. You only do it
And
once.
they only do it once, and that was a long day, but 100% worth it. That picture, those pictures that we got that day are like some of my favorite pictures on the trail. So another reason, just rather than catching up, I was excited to talk to you was you're unique. You started out, you're like you had the time to do halfway,
Yep.
and you made it halfway to Harper's Ferry, which is awesome. Even having two weddings thrown at you, which are it's tough. How tough was it getting off what was the longest point you were off the trail, and then how tough was it getting back on?
So I think I was off trail for 10 days was I guess yeah, 10 days. And then the second time I went to a wedding was only like 3 or 4 days that I got off trail for. Um, it wasn't as tough as I thought it was going to be. My body was sore pretty much the entire time. It didn't really like recover or like feel better. And I think it kind of just wanted to keep moving. It didn't really want to stop and lounge around and not be walking 15 to 20 miles a day. So, that was kind of brutal. And I kind of just got back into the swing of things. And yeah, as soon as I was back on the trail, it was surprising because I was hiking a lot and hurting less, when I got back onto trail. So yeah, probably wouldn't do that if I were to do it again in the future. I would probably just try and stay on trail the entire time, but it is what it is. You roll with the punches. So
Yeah, how much did your eating habits change, especially on that long stretch you were home?
I'm trying to remember. Um, I was definitely eating a lot at home, but so when I hiked the trail, I don't think I definitely wasn't eating as much as everyone else. I remember that I would kind of like I had my thing that I ate for breakfast, my Carnations instant breakfast, and I had a Pop Tart, and then I had whatever, a bunch of just snacks for lunch, and then a huge dinner, like dehydrated meal. But I was never eating, I guess, a lot like everybody else was. But when I got off the trail and went home, I was definitely eating whatever I could get or whatever was around, or going to fast food and getting that all the time. But surprisingly, I didn't eat as much as I thought I was going to when I hiked. So
Yeah, at your max weight loss, I don't know, sometimes it was hard to, there wasn't a lot of scales or anything out there except for
sure.
maybe at hostels. What was your max weight loss? Do you remember? Like, or maybe just your like percentage of weight that you were
I
down
think
at
I
any time.
started at 180, and when I got off the trail, I was 150. So I lost 30 pounds, from start to finish. I may have been lighter at one point, I guess before the end, but I don't really think so. So 30 pounds and I don't think 180 is a lot to start with to begin with. So I was very thin at the end of it.
Yeah, I mean that's off the top of my head, 18-ish plus or minus percent. So that's a considerable. I mean, if you lose 20% of your body weight, that's
Yeah.
quite a bit of weight. How did you tell me a little bit about your background, hiking, backpacking, and maybe the impetus that
Yeah.
put you out on the trail?
So sophomore year of college, I took an internship in Michigan and I was off on my own. Didn't live with any family, had no friends out in Michigan, didn't really do anything except on the weekends I would go to the park, and I kind of set up hammock and I would just chill out and read and enjoy nature. I read a few books, one of which was A Walk in the Woods. Really fell in love, not the best book of all time, but just the idea of doing that kind of fascinated me. So I started buying like all the equipment. I bought my Osprey backpack all the way back then, which I used to hike the trail like 10 years later. I got into like water filters and just like researching and exploring like all of it. And then never really did anything with it. I would go to like still go to the park on the weekends to kind of just chill out and enjoy nature and all that. And then when I went back to college, I did some hiking up in the Berkshires on the weekends or days off school or whatever, but was never super into it, but always kept that interest and fascination with it. And then, as you know, but I guess the viewers wouldn't know, I got laid off February. Um, I got some severance from that and was like, you know what, this is the best time. My lease was ending. Didn't really have any other plans. Wanted to do it. Felt like this was the best opportunity and just went for it. And it turned out great.
Yeah, so your window that you had was pretty much you wanted to do like halfway from,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I knew financially that I only could kind of really do. I probably should have and could have done the entire thing if I really stretched everything the way I wanted to. But I knew a good goal for me was halfway. I knew that that's something I could stick my mind to and accomplish it in a certain amount of time. So started April 9th and finished January or June 30th, I think. Um, but yeah, I always had the intention of doing halfway. Don't like to talk about regret so much, but definitely probably should have just kept just going. I was in the groove, had all the equipment, had everything. My mom was taking care of the dog. So that I guess that was another reason that I cut it short was just because my dog was with a parent for 3 months, so I didn't really want to put that on them for an additional 3 months. But yeah, probably should have just kept going. I'll finish the rest at some point. I'm still interested in it, but yeah, could have kept going if I wanted to.
Yeah, what was your expectation? So you had in mind that you were going to do half. What was
Mhm.
your expectation of what it was going to be like, or were you nervous at all, or what? Like those first few days, how did you
Yeah.
feel?
I wasn't I was so excited with the plan. I'm a huge planner and like I had Excel sheets and like did everything and like how could I get my weight reduced and like all this and I was more excited than anything pretty much the entire time until I got in the car to drive down to Georgia with my dad and he drove me down. It was like a 9 or 10 hour drive, I think, or maybe even longer. I don't really know, but I was definitely nervous in that car ride because I had a backpack and the night after the night that he drove me down, I wasn't going to sleep in a hotel. I wasn't going to sleep at home. Didn't know what I was getting myself into. Didn't know anyone else that I was hiking with. So I was definitely nervous that first day before I did it. And then it was insane that as soon as you put your feet on the trail, as soon as you start walking, I had zero reluctance or fear or hesitation or skepticism about anything. I'm just kind of like, you see everybody else doing it, you know that you're not alone, and yeah, it was great. I didn't feel anything except for that first day before I set foot on the trail, kind of driving down and at the hotel.
And of course, we felt the first 3 days that rain.
Oh yeah,
It
I
was the worst three stretch. I did the
was
entire
not
trail. It was
expecting that.
worst 3 day stretch the whole way.
Was not expecting that. Yeah. I had family members kind of telling me throughout every time I would check in, and it's like the most rain the East Coast has seen in 50 years or 100 years or something like that. I was like, well, yep, that checks out because I remember the first couple days, I'd only set up my tent like 4 or 5 times before I actually started hiking. So I guess I didn't know how to pitch it in the rain correctly or something. I don't really remember, but I remember a lot of water getting in my tent the first couple nights because it was just thunderstorming, downpouring gust winds, and it was a lot. Yeah, you hike all day in the rain, and it sounds terrible, but you miss it just talking about it. So
Yeah, you do. I know that it took you a little while, but you had, after a while, you were like a machine. Just you setting off your 10, you'd got that down and everything. Were you happy with your gear? And if you ever
mm,
did come back and finish the second half, would you keep the same gear, or what might you change?
yeah. Um, Well, one thing I know that I would change would definitely be that was it ducktail, the little inflator thing for your mattress that you kept showing me, the
Oh, flex tail.
flex tail, the little sleeping pad inflator. Because I mean, it didn't take forever to set up my sleeping pad, but if I could spend $15 or $20 or whatever, I would probably change that out and get that. I was happy with my cooking situation. I really only had like a little titanium pot, a long spoon, big water bladder. I think I had a 2 liter water bladder, um, and then just use smart water bottles to filter into. I think I only carried one most of the time. No, I think I had two actually. So I wouldn't really change anything in that. If I did it again, I might change the tent that I used, just for like an external framed one. Um, it wasn't terrible. Had a decent amount of room as a one person, Six Moon Designs lunar solo is what I used, and it kind of used one of your trekking poles as the main support. So that was it. Just took a lot of practice. It wasn't terrible. Nothing was inherently wrong with it, but it took a lot of practice to get right. So, I mean, if I had the money, like 300 or 400 extra bucks, I'd definitely get one of the bigger 2 person, whatever, Gossamer gear or whatever the big ones are, with a little bit of a frame on the outside. My shoes treated me well. I had Solomon's and then Hoka's, trail runners. Those were pretty good the whole way.
How many pair
Um,
did you go through of each, or one of each, or
so I had my Solomons for the first 500 miles, and then when I got off trail the first time around I think it was like mile 500 or 600 or something like that. I traded, those were beat, and I got a pair of Hoka trail goats, speed goats, something,
yep.
something like that. And I still have those. I'm still wear those like pretty much every day. I mean, they're beat up, but they're great shoes. So I wouldn't do anything different. But yeah, I think the whole like getting a new pair every 500 miles was probably the about right way to go. Um, what were those? Those underwear were really good. I forget what the name of them were, but
Were the ex officios?
yeah, if ex officio boxer briefs. Those, I mean, everybody. I had read a lot about chafing a lot before I did the hike, and I never had a single issue with any of that. I was also a person that wore pants pretty much the entire way, even if it was hot out. I had my um, kind of, well, they weren't waterproof, but water resistant pants on the whole day. And I think that that was the way to go. I really think that like, in terms of like thorn bushes that we were walking through and bugs and ticks
Ticks.
and a lot of that stuff, I think
Mhm.
you're going to be hot just hiking no matter what. Like, I don't really think that wearing shorts was that big of a difference. And I was happy to kind of be able to just walk through whatever I needed to walk through with pants. Um, yeah, I had a puffy and some other. Yeah, I don't think I would change out much. I was pretty happy with my pillow situation. I had forget the name of my quilt. Don't remember the name of that,
What
but
degree rated was it?
I think 30 degree.
Yep.
30 degree. It was. I'll have to get back to you on what the actual name of it. It was it was a really popular brand, and I had known nothing about it until I started buying my gear, and it was a good one. Um, yeah, I think most of the other gear was pretty much as reported. Um,
Yeah. That's one good thing now, and I think you had mentioned it to me at one point. There's so much information out there now on the internet and reviews. I mean, you just Google search, top gear used for the Appalachian Trail or PCT or any of them, and it gives you a
yep.
good idea. I think, and other than the footwear I found, I did find I used Ultras, one of their styles, but I found that everyone's feet were so different. Like they might have worked good for me, but not for you, and vice
Oh yeah,
versa. So, right? Did you? I mean, that's the one
very
thing people would
particular.
say. Yeah,
Yeah, because people wanted like a lot of rise or a little bit of rise, or a lot
yeah,
of people were getting like plantar fasciitis and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, I didn't really do that much work with them before I started the trail. Probably should have, but definitely finding good shoes that you can be comfortable in is the way to go. I had, I forget what they're called, but the Solomon ones where you don't have to lace them up, you just pull and cinch them. And those worked really well for me for the first 500 miles. And then I just had the Hokas after that. And those seem pretty popular. I think I saw a lot of people with those. So yeah, just definitely finding whatever it is that you're comfortable with. There's a lot of gear that people can tell you will work, but until you use it for yourself and try it for yourself and wear it yourself, and you'll never know. So
yeah.
definitely got to just figure it out.
Yeah, you mentioned back at the beginning of the interview when you got off trail one or both times you were a little bit sore. Did you have any like injuries during your hike that bothered you enough that it was bugging you each during the day, or did you have anything like when you got home that hung around for a while?
My hips were sore. I
Mm.
think a lot of the trail, and it kind of went away when I wasn't sleeping. So I definitely think it was a sleeping or like at night issue, and it could just be from sleeping on rocks or whatever we were sleeping on. But that went away eventually. Wasn't too big of a deal. Um, I don't really know how I'd improve that. I mean, I had a pretty good sleeping pad. Um, Yeah, I don't really know how you avoid that. Maybe just get a thicker sleeping pad or something, but it's gonna stink. I mean, it's not gonna be perfect. You're sleeping outside, often on rocks and crappy conditions. So that went away, and you just got to walk it off. But then at some point in the trail, I think it was early on. I don't know if it was because I was wet all the time, but I developed like a skin irritation on my stomach just because of how wet my shirt was, and if it wasn't rain, it was sweat. Um, so it was like a skin irritation. It was almost like athlete's foot on my stomach a little bit. So I just kept putting like Vaseline or athlete's foot creamer on it, and that went away eventually once things started to dry out. But um, no real injuries. I mean, you were there the only time I got sick was like 5, maybe 6 days in before we got to the Green Dragon Hostel, and what was the other name of it?
Around the
Um,
bend or
Around the
no?
Bend. Yep,
Yeah.
that was where we were headed. We didn't stay there, but that was the day. But I got sick, and I thought it was norovirus, but I really just think it was bad tuna, and I mixed tuna and ramen, and I didn't eat tuna or ramen. The rest, oh no, I ate ramen a couple times, but without tuna. So that was kind of yeah, my really only brush with like injury or anything like that. I mean, I tore up my hands a little bit, just getting calloused and stuff from trekking poles, but nothing severe.
Yeah, it's really, I mean, I thank my lucky stars every day. I mean, it surprises me still the hundreds of people I met. And really, I didn't really hear about many people getting injured. I know Ghost, I don't know if you remember Ghost. He dined with us in Daleville. He was the
Yep.
retired police officer. He ended up getting very bad Lyme disease.
Ooh.
Yeah, went home for a couple weeks, came back, and then just had to go home again.
Okay.
So
I
there was
remember
some
you
different
got a
things.
tick, and you like had it investigated or something like that. You got it checked by a
Yeah,
nurse or something. That didn't turn
Yeah,
into
I
anything.
had taken a picture of it. I think it was just a wood tick. I did take a one dose just as preventative doxycycline. I actually got that. That was probably the last time we saw each other right there. That was right before Glasgow, and you
Yeah,
had jumped off. Your mom had picked you up for the second wedding, I think,
something
that
like
you were
that.
headed to. Our friend Pilgrim, who's actually his interview will air next Monday.
Cool.
He broke some ribs in New
The
Hampshire.
first time, right? Or the second time you broke more?
Yes,
Wow.
a couple
Oh,
ribs
right. That's
just
why he didn't
after the
finish with
whites.
everybody. Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah, but I mean, great. I give him a lot of kudos for coming back on the trail. So that sounds good as far as the physical. What about the mental? What were,
mm,
I mean, even though we hiked, everybody says, oh, I hiked with Raven or I hiked with Solar or whatever. You don't really hike together, right? And you and I had
no.
that thing. I think most people hike alone during the day, and so you
Hmm.
have a lot of time by yourself in your head? I know you were kind of like a book on tape guy. You taught
A
me
lot of audiobooks.
the one ear pod thing, and so when one goes dead, you put in the other one. I carried
Yep.
that on. You
Yeah.
taught me. That was one of the things that you taught me, and I learned on the trail. What about when you weren't listening to books or music or whatever? Like, what are some things that you took away from the trail that you brought back home?
Mm. Um, I mean, I guess when you're out there hiking, you have a lot of time to think, obviously. There's no better time to like prioritize the things in your life and think about the things that truly matter to me. And when I'm done doing this thing that kind of sucks in the moment and I'm finally done with it and I achieve what I want to achieve, what do I really want out of life? And I plenty of time to kind of think about that. I During actual hiking, I spent a lot of time focusing on like very small goals. So we would track all of our progress, obviously, with far out and stuff like that. But I spent a lot of time thinking about like I charted my stuff in Excel at the end of every day, kind of like I got from this mile point to this mile point, and that was a total of this many miles, and I'm this percent of the way done what I set out to do, and I was very like goal oriented about that. So even while I was hiking, I was thinking about, okay, so I've done 4 miles. And I'm like 2 hours into the day, and like, okay, so if I want to be where I want to be by next Thursday or whatever, I have to hike this many miles. I spent a lot of time kind of just like breaking down small goals for myself so that I wasn't just staring at like, you have 730 miles to go before you're done. It was kind of like, well, you're getting food in 3 days, so just think about what you need to do to get to that and kind of processing small goals one at a time to get you to the end. So I'm just thinking about prioritization of what you want to do in life and everything that you don't have when you're hiking the trail, like the people that mean a lot to you, and then just kind of going through the small goals of the day. Did I eat? Did I drink my coffee? How many miles have I done? Kind of just the monotonous little stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to some other people, and they made, you have both ends of the spectrum, right? The people who hike the trail and they make huge changes, and then you have people that are in the middle, and then you have people that I think maybe like by myself, but like myself, I took things from the trail and maybe made small changes or incremental changes back in my real world. Is there any small things that you feel that you've changed back in, regular life that you took from the trail?
I'm definitely about setting challenges for myself that I don't think that I can really like. Maybe that's a little bit outlandish of a goal to set for myself and kind of just, well, I'm going to try anyway. Um, Physically, even though I haven't hiked the trail since June and it's been like 6 or 7 months, I'm still craving like a physical challenge or demand, or like if I've been like kind of like a slug all week at work, just working at home, I kind of like, well, I want to go walk 5 miles or like go for a big run. I mean, I was not really like that before, where I wasn't seeking out physical challenges or even real big challenges for myself. So now that I accomplished that, I kind of, it's a little bit of a confidence boost. Like, yeah, just go try something else that you didn't think you could do before, or like go do this, push yourself. Your body can handle it. You can do it. And just knowing that, um, yeah, you can succeed with the challenges you set for yourself.
Yeah, yeah, I'm definitely. You and I are alike in a couple of ways. Well, first of all, we're both big World of Warcraft fans, and we
That is true.
bonded over that on the trail, which was one of the oddest but coolest bonding moments that I had on the trail.
Yeah.
The second thing that I think I'm a lot like you is definitely goal oriented, and when I even right at the end when I finished the trail, I was like, okay, check the box, finished it, and then I thought
What's
I'd be
next?
good. Well, no, I didn't even wasn't even at that. I was just like, okay, finished it. I'm good. But then, then it kind of hits you. You're done the trail, right? And maybe what's next? Or you just feel like you have that longing, like you said, that physical challenge. Like when you got to Harper's and finished, I'm sure you put it in your Excel spreadsheet, like done, right? But did you have any kind of like a rebound effect other than feeling like that needing to physically challenge yourself, like just being around a lot of people again or inside or things like that?
I don't really think so. I think I kind of embraced it. I was looking forward to kind of being done for a little bit, and it didn't sink in kind of wanting that or craving more of that until probably like 3 weeks to a month later, where I was like, man, other people are now kind of in Massachusetts or like up there. I could be there right now if I didn't stop. I could be doing that. Yeah, like I don't like to talk about regrets or think about things in terms of that, but definitely kind of just like what could have been, or I could keep doing this, or when am I going to do it next, or what can I do today to give me a little bit of taste of that. So I mean, I wasn't working yet, obviously, right after the trail, so I was taking my dog on tons of walks in the woods, kind of just trying to hold on to whatever little aspect of that I could. Went camping a few more times after that, and obviously wasn't the same or anything, but
Yeah.
just holding on to little bits and pieces of it.
Yeah, yeah, because I know that just doing day hikes and things. I mean, I mean, I did one today. I'm actually out, and I know your plan was to move to Colorado, and you're there now, and I want to ask you about that. But
Yeah.
just the little day hike I went on today, it kind of gives you just that, rush again of being out and enjoying outside. So how was you? How long have you been in Colorado now?
So I finished the trail in June and then didn't really start job hunting or anything, just kind of enjoyed the break that I knew that I had until like the end of maybe middle or end of August. Started job hunting around September-ish. Um, Took a little bit and then I got a job in renewable energy. So a company that creates and sells like battery energy storage system to commercial and industrial people. So doesn't really matter. But that remote job allowed me to move to Colorado. So we moved here November 1st. So we've been out here 2.5 months or 2 months and a little bit. Um, it's phenomenal. It's everything. I mean, we live in Colorado Springs, so you can see the entire mountain range from our back deck and kind of just like looking at that every day. Taking my dog on hikes, skiing every week or every other week at least. Um, yeah, just being outside a lot, and yeah, it's kind of everything I wanted. So yeah, we're out here
That's
enjoying it, and yeah,
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a great place to be for someone who is yearning for outdoor activity for sure, with between the
yes,
hiking and skiing and all that. No,
plenty
that's
to do.
awesome, man. That's awesome. Well, look, it was great catching up with you.
Yeah, likewise,
Like I
man.
said, I enjoyed a lot of things, a lot of the memories. Oh, last question, like when because I know I do it, you miss the trail or the people,
Yep.
close your eyes and you think of some memories. Like, what are some of your one or two fondest memories of the trail that will kind of like, come back up in your consciousness from time to time?
McAfee Knob, as you mentioned, was kind of just like a surreal moment looking at that. And I mean, we got some good views along the way, no doubt, but that was definitely a memorable moment. I mean, even today, my dad, who I haven't seen in a couple months, I mean, we talk regularly and stuff, but he sent me a picture of me on McAfee Knob and was like, I bet you're missing this, aren't you? And I was like, yes, yes, I am. Missing that. I have pictures of McAfee Knob all around my office and stuff. So definitely McAfee Knob. And then another one that I think about a lot is I think it's Blood Mountain Cabins, that first the Blood Mountain Cabins, and it it was right down the hill from Neil's Gap, the store, and that was kind of like our first resupply. Our first foray into like laundry and all of that, cleaning your gear on the back deck, Trace going to get like 4 or 5 microwavable things and him earning his trail name like that. That just we did that a lot of times after that. But that kind of stuck in my head like, okay, this is how it's going to be for the next couple months for just a series of these things and figuring out along the way. And yeah, that one sticks with me.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. With me as well, because you don't really know, as you're going out, you don't know what the plan is. You don't know where you're going to resupply or things like that. But you figure it out. I think everybody talking to somebody else or hearing from someone, or someone knows something that you don't.
Yep.
And I don't think you need a lot of experience. I met people like yourself who didn't have tons of experience and hadn't even set up their tent many times, or decided 2 weeks
Yeah,
before they were going that they did it. So
yeah,
it's kind of for everybody. It just becomes a mental game out there.
yeah. And I mean, a lot of my family was kind of concerned with like, you're going alone, you're not going to hike with anyone. And if I hadn't heard that concern from my family, I mean, you wouldn't know from the first day you step on trail that that would even be an issue. I mean, everyone is like, what kind of gear do you have? What are you doing? Where are you getting off trail? Or what do you need? Where's the closest water? What does the next day look like out, like elevation wise? And just the whole, I was not prepared for how helpful the community was. I guess I was planning on figuring out things a lot more myself, and I didn't need to, and that was great. And like you said, you don't really need that much. I mean, you need the gear, obviously, because you can't live without it. But you put your foot on the trail with the right gear, and you'll figure everything else out in a couple days at a time. Um,
Yeah. Well, I
that's
hope if
just,
you ever decide to do the northern section again, you
yeah,
let me know, because I'd love to follow you and maybe
definitely.
do check-ins. And then, of course, when you get to Maine, I'll do food drops and trail magic for you.
You'll
Uh,
be hearing from me. Yeah, I've been thinking about that a lot more recently. Just how I'm gonna do that, and even if I want to start from Harper's Ferry, or if I just want to do the whole thing over again, or
yeah.
like how I have a lot of time to decide. I'm not really rushing it, but each day that the corporate life goes on, you kind of yearn for that more and more. So I'll definitely be back on the trail, and you'll be hearing from me once I make it to Maine.
Awesome. I hope so. Well, look, good talking to you. We gotta get together when I get back off my latest trip, and maybe get on and play a little WoW together for sure. I would
Definitely.
really
Plunderstorm
enjoy
just came
that.
out today. Plunderstorm just came back out today, so I'll be giving that a shot. But yeah, we got to get back into the WoW.
That I'll be back in a couple weeks, and I'll hit you up for sure.
Sounds good, Sloggy. It's good
All
talking to you,
right,
man.
man. Good
Take it
talking
easy.
to you too. See ya.
Bye.